Going in, Tim Morrison, NSC Russia expert, seen as someone that might be more sympathetic to the case Republicans are making. He didn't have a problem necessarily with what he heard on that July 25th call. Did he deliver?
I don't know if he delivered as well as Republicans hoped he would. I think he was definitely a fact witness for them. I thought, though, that they were hoping he would be more helpful than he was. You know, yes, he didn't hear anything illegal on the call in his mind, but that didn't mean he didn't hear something problematic. Now, he viewed it as politically problematic. That's certainly, and so in that case, I don't think it's as helpful as Republicans thought it would be. Look, I do think they did a good job. They did a good job. If the Republican goal was to get Volker and Morrison to say, hey, some of this stuff was more routine than it comes across, I think they've painted some of this stuff as more routine. The problem they have is that even Volker and Morrison are saying, yeah, but that phone call was unusual, and some of these requests were unusual. And ultimately, what I think has been the most damaging for the Republicans today, because I think they hoped that Volker and Morrison would sort of, I think, help them more than they did, is how much Volker changed his testimony. Volker strikes me as somebody who just threw himself on the mercy of this impeachment inquiry and said, look, man, I don't know what Giuliani was up to. I really was just trying to land this plane. And he's sitting there going, this is, I didn't quite understand.
But he's watching aid cut off. Yeah, he's not connecting the dots, though.
And I think there's some people who think, you were willfully blind on some of this stuff if you didn't think Burisma and Biden were the same thing. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the Democrats will take it. But that's, if I'm the president, if I'm Republicans, I'm nervous about Volker essentially saying, look, yes, this was a mess. I was trying to land it. I wasn't doing it with corrupt intent. Please believe me.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.